We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What time is that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good afternoon, welcome to NUFC Matters. Talk of the Toon with me, Sid, and Rob joining us halfway through the show. How are you, Sid?
I'm very good. Busy week. Been a few gigs, so that's been nice. Went to see the Pretenders at the London Palladium, and that was amazing.
Wow.
I mean, Chrissy Hynde's voice. I saw them the week before in Gateshead, but they were much better in London. Chrissy Hynde's voice. It's 73 is remarkable. Sounds exactly the same. I mean, it shouldn't do, but wow, she was absolutely incredible. The band are really hot, and Paul Whitehouse introduced them. Was really funny. I think it was there. Was he Dave Smash or Mike Nice? It was whichever one it is. He came on as one of the characters. Really funny. Really funny. So that was great. And then the following night, I was at the fire station in Sunderland and watched Leo Sayer. And you know what? He was absolutely brilliant. His back catalogue is fantastic. Really top draw. So that was a great gig as well. Super harmonica player as well. Great harmonica player.
Great stuff. You've been busy then, mate. Excellent. Well, as always, we'll be taking the chat to music a little bit later. And don't forget as well, if you haven't already, Songs from the Attic 1977 is Sid's channel. Make sure you jump over there, subscribe if you like a little bit of music. Sid is your man. And well, I was busy. I was in London, of course, for the Chelsea game. See why Elvis Costello didn't want to go there. Bad result for Newcastle, 2-1. Again, not calamitous, not really a very, wasn't a one-sided game. The stats tell you that. Eddie, I've listened to his press conference this afternoon, is certainly somebody who is relying on the XG stats. I think he's pushing it with corners, mind. 54 corners without a goal.
Terrible.
He's saying that the XG for our set pieces isn't bad. Dear me, try standing there watching it, Eddie, because it's not good at all, mate. But yeah, let's look at the game first. A 2-1 defeat. I mean, very rarely do we go to Chelsea expecting to win, Sid. What was your take on the game?
I thought it was terrible, if I'm being perfectly honest. obviously I watched it, and I went with little hope, I think is the phrase. And when I saw Gordon wasn't even playing, my hope went through the floor, I'm afraid. And the first 20 minutes, I thought we were going to get absolutely tonked. I thought we would get thumped. And then obviously we picked up quite considerably actually after that. But it comes back. It was just poor. Again, the defence was abysmal. I mean, it comes to the same thing every week. And I feel like I'm stuck on a record, like I'm like Groundhog Day every week. And I'm going, oh, we need a fast centre-half. They literally just run through the middle and get past the centre-halves. And it's almost what they did for the first goal. Yes, it was a great pass. Let's not underestimate the lad. I think Cole Palmer is probably the best player in the Premier League at the moment. And I think people overuse the word world class, but this kid, for me, is a player who would make my world 23. I think he's sensational. There's something really, really special about him. Man City must be kicking themselves. I mean, dear me, they must have seen what the lad's got. It's just innate ability. The closest I can compare him to is Gascoigne in terms of being able to see the full picture very, very quickly. He's got a bit of that going on. Yes, he doesn't whiz past players in and out, but he's got that sort of bit like Beardsy as well, can see a pass way ahead of its time. Sheringham had it as well. He's just got something really, really special about him. A really super, super player. So, fair dues. But first goal was just dire. I mean, Fabian Schär has had a shocker of a season so far. And last season, I thought was his best season. He was right up there as player of the season for me, And this season, he's been terrible. Dan Burn, honestly, and I know you're not a fan, but for me, Kelly all day. He's quick. We need somebody with pace. And spoke to a friend of mine who's a big Bournemouth fan, and he really rates him. He really rates him, not just a little bit, but like mega. They were devastated to see him go. So for a fellow football fan to really rate him, we're all pretty much of a muchness in terms of reading the game. And I think you've got to give the lad a few games. I don't understand playing the high press or quite high press, shall I say. And then allowing somebody just to bomb through the middle with no pace back. I mean, Dan Burn was like 40 yards back. Shear's challenge was ridiculous. Why didn't he just stay on his feet and try and force the lad out wide? Awful defending. Livramento seems to have gone backwards as well, as far as I'm concerned. The one shining light from the defence is Lewis Hall is looking a top player. And I said this last week, must be very close to the England squad. Must be very close. He's reading the games really, really good. Yes, he makes the odd mistake, but he's like, what was he, 20? Just turned 20? And so far, none of those mistakes have cost us, whereas Tino's cost us a few times. I mean, Tino was it the second goal? He was literally next to Isaac. What's he doing? Why is he not 30 yards back on the right? I don't understand. It's just very, very poor. I thought midfield was. I thought individually, bizarrely, they all played not bad, but as a midfield three, they didn't play great. If that makes any sense, I thought Big played again for the last 4 weeks. For me, it's been the same two players. Big Joe played well, I thought, and I was listening to Craig Hope slaughter him, and I'm thinking, really, I watched a different game. I thought Big Joe played quite well. Tonali played well for me. I couldn't understand him being taken off yet again, which again seems like a premeditated sort of decision before the game's even kicked off for Sean Longstaff, who didn't out. And then I just don't understand the substitutions. And then again, Bruno played all right, but he's getting caught out doing those silly little turns on the edge of the box and in the centre circle, trying to hold on the ball for too long. But he didn't play bad at all. And up front Barnes was poor, very, very poor. And again, that to me shows that he's not a starter. He's got no right to be in the starting 11 at the moment. He's great off the bench. Is that all he is? An impact player? And we've spent 40 million on an impact player. That's well and good if we've got a squad like Man City, but we haven't. So he was an unnecessary purchase, and I would sell him in the January if you could get your money back. I really would. And we've got nothing on the right. I thought Miggy was terrible, and Murphy came on, was quick, but didn't do very much either. Missed a header as well, really, didn't he? It's like, how can you head a ball that's coming towards you on the front? It goes over there. I've no idea. What's his head? What shape's his head? It's like a 50-pence bit. It just bounced up the front, went over. It's almost impossible. Defies the laws of physics. But I thought we were the second goal as well was atrocious. Bad defending, but the goalkeeping, he should be saving that all day long. Should be saving that all day long. That's a stock save for him. And to me, he's gone down a level from what he was. For me, he's the best shot stopper I've seen at the club. He commands the box really, really well. I picked him in my all-time 11, remember, but he's really gone down a level in terms of he should be saving stuff like that. And that's not the first time this season he's fluffed, is it? It's like the second time in about 3 games where he's let one in. He let one in the other week on the left-hand side and he just palmed it in very soft. Disappointing. And Isak looked quite good, but silly mistake. And then he should have squared it to Joe Linton, who had an open goal. And we would have got a goal. Would we have snatched a draw? I don't think we would. I still think they'd have just run up the other end and scored. It looked like we were going to get beat all day long. I think they could have went up another level. So it was just really, really poor. And Howe, for me, is massively under pressure. He's massively under pressure now. You've got the League Cup game, which you've got to win. You've got the Arsenal game, get something out of that. And then you've got the Forest game. For me, he's got 3 or 4 games. And then if he keeps losing those games, I think he'd be gone. I do think he could be gone by Christmas. I really do. I think he could be gone by Christmas. He's got to really turn things around. Do I want him to see me get gone? No. But do I think he could be? Yes. And he would have no real... Yes, he's got the excuse of they didn't buy. Let's be honest. He's not being helped at all by the club in, I don't know how long, 2, 3 windows, whatever it might be. So he's not had any help at all. We've stayed still, therefore we go backwards in football. So Howe's not had any help, and he's got a real claim to say, oh, well, I've not been helped. That's absolutely fine. But he doesn't help himself with the formation. It's the same every week. Every club knows what we're going to do. All right, 4-3-3, same players, same position, same this, that, and everybody knows. And as I say, it's like I'm stuck record. We're just going to lob the ball through the middle, get somebody quick, go past the centre halves, and you've got a goal. And it seems to be the same week in, week out. And
what's the answer then, Sid? Because I had a good rant last night on the fan forum. Yeah. There's the team from the weekend, and what changes do you make? I mean, I agree with you. I think the formation needs to change. I know 4-4-2 is looked at as archaic, but I would adapt a 4-4-2 with the team. But that means
depends on how you do it, Steve, isn't it? Because do you have one of them as a holding player, which I think we need a holding midfielder. And I
think Joe Linton or Tonali could do that job, which means that one of them is going to have to either change positioning. I agree, but Fabian Schär could do that as well. He's done it for Switzerland on a number of occasions. So is it his best position? No, but he can. So then Eddie Howe's got to upset two other people, and I don't think Eddie Howe likes upsetting players.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that's what he gets paid for. That's what you get paid for. He's the manager. You've got to make hard choices. Okay.
And so theoretically, right, we've got a game tomorrow. Let's forget about the cup game. Let's forget about Arsenal. Let's just say we've got a game tomorrow night. We know from the press conference today that Gordon's fit, so he will be available for selection. So my starting lineup tomorrow then would be I would still go with Nick Pope in goal.
Agreed.
I think it was terrible one to concede, but he's got plenty. The best there. He's got plenty in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I think the back four, and this is where we'll disagree. I'm fairly sure, but I think we'll agree on Lewis Hall. That's the easy one. Lewis Hall would remain at left back. I think he is the best left back that we've got, simply because he's not playing well at this moment in time. I would drop Tino, but I would play Emil Kraft at right back.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Because of his experience, that's what I would do. Now, centre half, Dan Burn and Shaw are both going through, they're both older than, most centre-halves in the division, and they struggle against pace. So it's a toss-up between who you take out of that centre-half role and who you put in his place. So I would ultimately keep the same two centre-halves, but I think you would probably bring Lloyd Kelly in, but I'd be interested to hear who you're going to drop.
I'd drop Dan Burn.
So you would drop Dan Burn. Okay. Well, I would play Burn and Shaw with Kraft, because Kraft can do a great job of covering the two centre halves, and there's the experience of playing together. And I think Lewis Hall is a natural left back. So that's my four. Midfield's the interesting bit. Scrap inverted wingers, go for two old-fashioned wingers.
Yeah.
For me, on the left, it's going to be Anthony Gordon, and on the right, it's going to be Jacob Murphy. And that's
I disagree on that one then.
Go on then.
On the left, I'm going Joe Linton.
Yeah.
And on the right, I'm going Anthony Gordon.
Okay. In the middle, I'm not going to drop Bruno at this moment in time because he's the captain. And I don't think Eddie Howe will do that either. And I would play Joe Linton with Bruno. And I would play Joe Linton in the defensive role and let Bruno push on. I would drop Sandro Tonali. And to be perfectly honest, in January, if we can get our money back, I would sell Sandro Tonali. Up front,
I wouldn't make it up for me, but there you have it.
Go on. You give us your midfield.
I rate Tonali very highly. I think he's just been playing in the wrong system, or he's not being played to his strengths. Do you watch him for it? He's like top player.
Who's he playing for Italy though? International football, unless you play in the top 6 teams in the world, I would say, yeah, fair enough. But I get your point. I'm not buying this whole Tonali is a legend thing at the moment.
I'm not saying that at all, but I think he's got everything there to be a top player. I mean, he's got pace. I mean, he's very quick, which people seem to forget. I mean, he had the top speed record last year in the Champions League, which people seem to sort of assume that he's slow, which he's not. He's got great reading of the game. His first touch is really good, and he's got a terrific pass on him. For me, he would start. Bruno is the interesting one. Would I drop Bruno out the game or not? I probably wouldn't. But one of them has to stay back as the holding player, and this is where the problem is at the moment. Or do we have both of them sort of just slightly further back and let Big Joe and Gordon go further forward? And then up front, of course,
we've got two up front in 4-4-2 for me. So
up front, you could possibly have one of them slightly further back than if that were the case, and then up front, I would actually have Joe Willock just off Isak. And
that's how I would play.
That allows one of the midfielders to stay further back, because I think Willock's not being utilised to his strengths, which is scoring goals, which is breaking lines, which is going forward. And again, if he doesn't do it, sell him in January, because he's not been consistent for a long time. He's had injuries and all the rest of it. But we hit a point. We hit a point at some, we've got to start selling some players and bringing better in.
It's interesting, though. We're not far off, are we? We're
not a million miles away. No, we're not a million miles away, and I think he's got to change it. And is that strictly a 4-4-2? It might be a variation, but it's within, it's within the parameters. It might be a
I think
4-4-1 or whatever.
I think Willock would revel in that as well, and I think Willock would get his goals, and I also think it would put pressure on other teams, because so much happens in the transition. When we get an opportunity, we've got no pace. Alexander Isak's left on his own, ploughing alone furrow to hold the ball up. It's not his game, but I think playing 4-4-2, the pressure would be off, and I think it would be so much better. But it's that's the point I'm making, and that's the point I've made. And you see, I don't buy into all of this kind of ASM kind of adulation that Sandro Tonali's had. Let's face it, right? He had an illness, addiction's an illness, and that cost us a star signing, if you like, that season. His suspension was because of what he did, albeit a horrendous illness, which, nobody, an addiction is an illness. It's not something you would wish on anybody. But that is the point I'm making, G. I can't really remember games that stand out that Tonali really has dominated. Now, I get what Sid's saying, because maybe 4-3-3 doesn't suit him, and I get that. But at the same time, when we've got PSR still, hovering over our club as it is, if we are going to do what lots of people are suggesting, and that is do an Aston Villa and sell a star player to ease PSR and give us the opportunity to go and invest in maybe 2, 3, 4 players, to bring into the squad. I honestly think that's where we're at the moment. And I think that, when you look at the players that you can sell who would make a difference.
I think he was brought in to replace Bruno. I think he was brought in to replace Bruno.
Because they thought they were going to lose him.
Yeah, basically.
Right, okay.
And
I would go with that.
I see them I see him as potentially being a better player.
You could be right, but at the moment, and in the games that I'm seeing,
because he's got pace, which Bruno doesn't have. But don't get us wrong, I'm not denigrating Bruno because he's fantastic. He is. So so don't take it the wrong way, But John
asked us a question. He asked you a question, actually. He said, "Afternoon, everyone. Sid, what's going on? 4-3-3 is still has been found out. We're 12th in the league with a little sign of significant improvement. Forest, Fulham, Bournemouth, and Brentford are above us. Why does Eddie stick to a tried and tested formula that's clearly failing? You won't know exactly, but do you have in England and all?" And again, he just says, would some version of 4-4-2 more shape balance, which is what we're talking about. With the three we have in the middle, we're too lightweight. Do you agree?
Totally agree with John there. And it makes no sense because when I did the whole, predictions at the beginning of the season, and I thought would be really comfortably, I thought would be Champions League. I did. I genuinely think that. And for me, I think he's trying to change the style of football. So you notice our intensity's gone down a bit. And he's trying to play more possession-based football. We don't have some of the players to play possession-based football. Bruno can do it. Tonali can do it. I'm not convinced Gordon can do it, funnily enough, because his first touch is quite poor. It's not great. Isak can do it. Without a doubt, Hall can do it because his first touch is fantastic. Shaw can do it, or Shea. But apart from that, we don't have players who can hold the ball and just comfortably move the ball around back and forth. I mean, we've got a keeper who can't pass. I mean, he's possibly, as I say, he's probably the second worst passer of the ball I've seen in the club. We've got a centre halves who are not great on the ball, not bad. Botman's much better on the ball, obviously. And, Big Joe's not bad on the ball. He's not amazing, but he's not bad. And again, Murphy, not great on the ball, let's be honest. Same with Miggy. And I don't think we have the personnel. Sean Longstaff definitely not. I don't think we've got the personnel to play that style of football that he wants to play, or that he's trying to switch and change and progress. So therefore, go back to what we're good at. Go back to what we're good at, which is high intensity football until we've got the personnel to do it. And he's in, and he isn't. I think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think he's trying to do something different, but it ain't working. Is my thoughts. Because he's mentioned a number of times about changing the style, changing the image, and it isn't work. It's just not working. And for me, at this point, I had Newcastle, according to the way I looked at it, I had us about 9 points better off. I thought we'd be right up near the top end. We're way behind where I think we should be.
Up until last week, though, we were only, I think it was a point away from where we were the previous season. So, it
is, but we had a really tough start last year, Steve. Remember that? Those fixtures were horrendous. They've been very, very kind this year. Very kind. Have we had any really hard away games in terms of the fixtures?
Obviously, Chelsea,
Chelsea, that's it. Chelsea, let's be fair. Chelsea will end up in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Lots of great points coming in. Tonali, so far for me, he's not really been put his mark on a game. He has quality, of course. He just needs to show up. He didn't play one forward pass to our forwards on Sunday. Gary says, Mitchell said the recruitment wasn't fit for purpose. Was he right? We bought players where we already had a starter, the likes of Barnes, maybe. That was a bad decision financially. And there was another good point as well. G said Tonali loses the ball, simple passes on a consistent basis. He's a conundrum, doesn't create, doesn't score, doesn't assist, or can dominate matches like Bruno has done previously. What is he? And
I'm assuming G's not his agent.
No, and Ali says 3-5-2 would be my formation. Pope, Shaw, Byrne, Kelly, Tino, Tonali, Bruno, Joe, Hall, Isak, Gordon. Our fullbacks are better going forward. This suits them perfectly. And where has our high press front foot blasting teams off the football park? I still think, Alan, that's got a lot to do with a lot to do with the new ideas behind the scenes because of the injuries. Yeah. Jason says, see your point, Steve. What about selling Barnes instead of Tonali? He'd get us a decent sum of money. Yeah, I mean, that's what you suggested, Sid, wasn't it? You suggested potentially selling him.
I'd sell Barnes and Willock personally, unless Joe suddenly sort of springs up and starts creating that form again. Otherwise, we've got 3 or 4 players who are just doing not enough for me, or not enough quality. We obviously lack enough quality anyway, but really European places should be the bare minimum of our target this year. And I personally think we won't get there. And my honest view is that the manager will be gone by the end of the season. Okay, because we haven't achieved the target. That's my personal view. If he does, I'll be absolutely thrilled and delighted, and I'll be happy to be proven wrong. But as it stands at this moment, it doesn't look like anywhere near it, does it? No. We don't look a better team than the Man United team. Let's just sack the manager.
No, and that is a concern. I mean, Dean, good afternoon. He says, going on form, Sellies, I can bring in 2 centre forwards. It's interesting because probably at the start of the season, when let's say at the end of the transfer window, Sid, we were all, even on this platform, saying, God, we're not a selling club anymore, we're a buying club. But at the end of the day, after 2 abject transfer windows where we're all scratching our heads and we're being told, we're already being laid the lines in Eddie's press conferences about potentially PSR still controls what we do, blah, blah, blah. I'm not expecting a great deal happening in January, put it that way. But maybe now most people seem to be, certainly in the chat, coming around to the fact that actually we might have to sell somebody if we want to make some kind of investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to. And it comes back to the same old Kevin Keegan adage, buy better than what you've got.
Yeah.
And we bought Barnes. Was he better than what we got? No. Was he better than Joe Linton on the left? No, because Big Joe had far more impact in a game. And the him and Willock formation on the left was superb. It really was.
Yeah, they're a great link-up.
They are really, really good. And so that's a no for me. And we've not bought anybody on the right. We could all see everybody saying the same things. Buy a right winger, somebody who can score. The lad at Brentford would have been ideal. But we also can't assume as fans that we can just go in and take in the middle of a season and take somebody's best player. Therefore, this to me comes down to the guy we've got in now, Mitchell. And also, Howe's got a number of questions that you have to ask as well in terms of, did he turn players down? Did he say we're not having any other players? Was his say too much? And for me, we've got a guy now who's got a good proven track record. It should really be down to him coming up with a selection of players. And yes, Howe's going to have obviously some sort of input and say yes, no, and so on and so forth because he's the manager. But at the end of the day, it should come down to the chief sort of man, if you like, and that's Mitchell in terms of who he puts forward, and we shouldn't have an over-reliance of have they got Premier League football history because we bought Bruno and he came in and was top draw. We've got Isak's been top draw. If you look, his goals per minute is fantastic. And it's been proven that way. And, we've missed out on some good players by going down there. They've got to have Premier League proven. A centre-half. There were 2 good centre-halves going for half the price of the 75 million or whatever ridiculous price we were quoted for Guy. It was not a bad player, but he's no more than a 40 million pound player by today's ridiculous prices. And we could have had certainly one and got a right winger in, and we haven't. So that's basically for me where we've fallen down. It's just been a farce. But,
Darren just talking about the game at the weekend says the outcome might have been different if Isak didn't do an ASM and just passed the simple ball to J7 to make it 2-2. There was a point.
Agree with Darren. Yeah, it's one of those though, isn't it? As a centre forward, would you take the shot? Probably. It's would Shearer passed? Bloody hell. And I think you sometimes have to look at it from that aspect. Centre forwards are greedy. That's what they do. Does it make it right? No. But unfortunately, that's what they do. And that's what they get paid for, is to bang it in the back of the net. And occasionally you're going to miss.
To be honest, there was a little disagreement. I mean, I was right behind the goal. There was a little disagreement between Sean Longstaff and Isaac. It didn't show up on Match of the Day, but like, you know, Isaac was more or less saying to Sean, "You should have took that." And Longstaff was going, "Well, it was never my ball. That was your ball," and that didn't really come across on the TV.
Right. Okay.
But that was interesting. But we are halfway through the show. Trull says, "How should tell what type of player he wants? Mitchell should give Howe a paper with players on." If it was only that.
Absolutely great.
It was only that simple. Okay, halfway through the show, time for the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can contact them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Contact them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, or telephone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also a podcast, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can hit the like button, which is the little thumb under each video. You can click the share button to share it to other social media, or subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button, and it is for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the join button, and you can join the channel for $1.99 a month to help support us. We do promote events on this channel. Derek Wright is holding his official book launch at the Tyneside Irish Centre, 15th of November. Tickets are £22, and that does include a signed book. Tickets are from newcastlelegends.com. Gold Star Promotions and Gateshead Leisure Centre are bringing Lennox Lewis to the area as part of his UK tour. You can get tickets by calling 0191 250 5066. Tickets start at £39. The Long Sounds are back in aid of Dementia Matters and being supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the Clooney box office. Peter Beardsley will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January, 2025. Tickets are available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. An Evening with the Entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, the 24th of January, 2025. You can buy tickets for that now from the box office, 0844 249 1000, or from the website, tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge is now open at Gateshead Leisure Centre. 7 tokens for £99. Call 0191 250 5066 to book your tickets today. And the first of those tokens will be the 31st of January, an evening with Lee Clark. If you just want to buy tickets separately, call 0191 250 5066. And the book everyone's talking about, The Entertainers, 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, is on sale now. The book will be posted out on the 1st of December, written by Will Scott. Over 30 contributors to this book. newcastlelegends.com or Amazon to buy it today. And it's a big welcome to Rob from Give Up the Ghost UK. How are you, Rob?
I'm excellent, guys. You?
Good, Rob. Good to see you. Loving the top.
Andrew. Yeah,
The Chris
nice.
Little top. Love it.
Yep.
Good stuff
Excellent.
as always. And once again, another album that Rob won't be reviewing is featured today.
It is. Yeah, have you got it there? And isn't it funny? People think it's not real. So, done a bit of research. So, 1980 it came out. There's 4 available from £1.64. So watch your Secret Santa, guys. So it's called King Size Dick, but it's actually only on 7-inch, not 12-inch.
Very good, Rob.
Yeah. 1980, rock and pop. But imagine that. You know, what are you up to the weekend? I'm away to see King Size Dick. You know, Big Richard. So yeah, that was a 7-inch single. Yeah, there he is.
Fantastic. All right, you are actually reviewing a classic today. Tell us what it is.
It's the Smiths. The Queen is Dead. First time I've heard it. I know. I think a lot of followers will think I've not heard this, I've not heard that, but I was very strict, and it was like I chose what I liked, and I didn't budge. A lot of friends around me liked a lot of bands like this, like indie and that. So yeah, I was around it, so I was well aware of it. But this 1986, it was the 3rd studio album. The title track is from Hubert Selby. I think it was a film, Last Exit to Brooklyn, or a book. 3 singles: The Boy with a Thorn on His Side, Big Mouth Strikes Again, and There Is a Light and It Never Shines Out, which I'd never heard before. So this, for me, I know they go said, I know, and this, to me, this is the whole point in doing this. It's opening up and it's opening out to, you know, things in the past that passed me by, as I say. So to me, this is one of the best openings of any album I've ever heard. It starts off with, Take Me Back to a Blighty. It's brilliant. And then the drums. Wow. It's so much I could hear in it, you know, Virgin Prunes, Adam and the Ants, a lot of post-punk. It's absolutely stunning. The tone on it, the production. It's honestly, I got goosebumps down my arms. Really, really good. Again, the bass playing is top drawer. I think Andy Rourke, I think he passed last year, unfortunately. And obviously you've got Johnny Marr's signature style guitar playing. It's a brilliant song. To me, it's more post-punk. Now that I listen to it more than sort of like an indie. Again, the Smiths, I believe they took their name because it was hard to label something, because remember years ago you would get letters to the door, generic letters saying, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So it was just out there, so they couldn't categorize. It was just like, you know, it's the Smiths, you know, like Joe Blogs, that's that sort of thing. Allegedly, that's how they took the name and why. So, frankly, Mr. Shankly, good fun song, this one. It's quite a bit of a fable style. It's more poetry as well. Again, to me, I think it's Squeeze meets Chaz and Dave. I really like it, though. It's a feel-good song, very humorous, a pretty little ditty, as I say. Then you've got track 3, I Know It's Over. Quite a sombre song. I sort of expected more of that in this album, but you know, I was pleasantly surprised. Sort of rim shot drumming on the first verse. This actually reminded me, there's parts of it, the Christmas song by the Pretenders. There's just parts of it that are
2,000 miles,
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's pleasant enough. I think the bass playing holds the band together. Out of everything in the band, it's the bass that I'm picking up on. It is absolutely just, you know, very unique, very, very melodic. The runs, the timing, the changes, the coordination. It's outstanding. And you've got Never Had No One Ever. Really good vocals on this one. I think this is the best vocals by Morrissey, Stephen Patrick Morrissey. I think that's his name. I think this is the best vocal on this album. I like the jangly guitar and texture in as well on the guitar by Johnny Marr, obviously. Spot on percussion as well. Not overdone. There's quite a lot going on in the background, but it's brilliant, I think. Really like this song. Again, production, every song, killer. Production is absolutely spot on. Don't know who produced it, not deep dived into it enough. So you've got Cemetery Gates. I was expecting, you know, Morrissey, downbeat, shall we say. Great tune. Sorry, but you know, I could hear the Sundays. I think maybe just that style, fresh, crisp, but beaten sharp lyrics. Obviously, maybe the Sundays were influenced by the Smiths, but the other way around, obviously. But really good key changes, and I think considering the name of the song, it's a really happy, upbeat tune. When I seen it, Cemetery Gates, I thought this is going to be a down song, but yeah, it was good song. You got Big Mouth Strikes Again, a song about Morrissey's frustration with the music industry, and I did know that. I think I owned the 12-inch single of this one. This at the time was massive. Student union bars, the good old days when you had £1 a pint and you had your snapbacks, you're getting in places for cheap. I do remember that at clubs and stuff, student union bars. You got The Boy with the Thorn in His Side, another song about the music industry. Really good melodies by Johnny Marr, good steady drumming. Again, bass on this, holding it well together. And again, I've acknowledged, obviously, we've lost Andy Rock last year. Vicar in a Tutu. This lasts about 2 minutes, this one. It's quite funny. It's unexpected, sort of tongue-in-cheek about Christianity, I think. It ends very abruptly. It's sort of like a blues style, sort of green grass, like brushwork on the snare, that sort of thing. Then the next two songs, I think, are the best two songs in the album, apart from The Queen is Dead. So I know this is unusual because normally when I come to an album, it's like, here we go, last 2-3 songs, it's just, it gets tired, but no. To me, this is brilliant. It's back to the staple sound that obviously the Smiths deliver. Great song, good foot tapping, again, great texture and guitar, driving bass runs. Really like the cheeky break of direction leading into the chorus. And there's nice, I think, fiddle or violin instrumental part. And this is really nice. I really like that song. Really good. Then last song is Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. Again, at last, a good song that finishes on a high. I actually, believe it or not, liked the change in Morris's vocals. It came across darker, atmospheric than his normal. I just picked, I don't know what it was. It's an up-tempo song. Again, it's like a nice little step beat on the drums, good cheeky little drum parts on this one. But yeah, that's the album. So I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Again, for me, the standout songs, The Queen is Dead. What an opening for an album. This Light Never Goes Out. Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. Really like them. Yeah, that's a 9 out of 10 for me. So I've listened to the album 3 times, took my notes. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Great stuff. Great album.
Great album. I saw them on that tour at the Mayfair in 1986. I think it might have been. It might have been 7. I can't remember now. I think it was 86. It was in the October. And it's not on that list, actually, but they played the Mayfair. Paul Weller was at the same gig, going to watch them. And it was amazing because I got right near the front. And they walked off at some point because they were getting spat on. And Morrissey made a comment about it. They came on, did one more song, got gobbed on, and walked off again. But it was a great gig, one of the best gigs I've ever been. Yeah, absolutely top draw, really, really great. I wasn't a fan up to that point, and then I went to the gig and it converted me. We've just done a show this week, 1980s. Will be out on Friday, and that features by one of the lads chose it. It would be very close to being on my list as well, but. I think it was just Morrissey himself has made me listen to the Smiths less over because of his views. Unfortunately, although Johnny Marr's great in his books, fantastic. Great band. It's really Johnny Marr's band, really more than anything else. He was the one who set the band up. He was him and the bass player Andy Rourke, and then they got
what a bass player. And
then they got the drummer. In his book, he almost infers that the drummer is just some sort of almost like a session guy, which he's clearly not. Because he was really, really important to the sound. But yeah, his book's very interesting. And his best mate is the guitarist out of the Cult, Johnny Marr. Yeah. So I'm going to see them on Wednesday. So I'm going to miss the match, unfortunately, because I'm going to see the Cult at the City Hall. So there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, great choice.
Great album.
Great choice. Great album. Great album. And the last song's just great. As Anthony opened.
Yeah.
Anthony and Cleopatra, as he opened the crate of ale, said some girls are bigger than others. That's just a great line. Really funny.
I really did enjoy it, especially the bass. I mean, everybody, all you hear about is Johnny Marr, this, that.
Yeah, it's so distinct.
See the bass playing, the level, it's like Johnny Marr sort of sits under it a little bit in the final mix, just under it. But the bass runs, it's very clever.
Fab.
Very unique. Yeah.
Fab. Love them.
Great stuff. So you're reviewing something slightly different this week, Sid.
I have, because we've done the 1980 show and we picked the top 10 albums, and one of mine is Purple Rain by Prince. I think he's possibly the most important musician of the 1980s in terms of his back catalogue run. He released at least 6 great albums for me in the 1980s, which is probably more than anybody else did. Springsteen did 3 great albums, well, 4 great albums actually in the 1980s, but Prince did about 6. And he sort of defines it for me. And this is the album that was the big breakthrough album. I mean, it sold 25 million copies. It's just a great album. And we all know the songs. I mean, in America, I didn't realize that Let's Go Crazy, let's be honest, is one of the greatest intros to an album as well, with the Dearly Beloved thing. And I was fortunate enough to see him 4 times. I once saw him 2 nights off the trot in London O2, and he was amazing. I had the same seats both nights. In fact, I was sat next to Chris. Oh, what was his name? He was one of the assistant coaches for England recently. Really good footballer. Oh, I forgot his name now. Oh, really annoying. Sorry, but I was talking to him for a bit as well. And anyway, Prince came up and did Let's Go Crazy for one of the nights. It was amazing. It was just absolutely sensational. One of the best showmen I've ever seen live. But Let's Go Crazy got #1 in America, which I didn't realise. I don't even think it was released as a single in this country. Some just great songs on it. Take Me With You, superb, where he's got backing vocals with Apollonia. The Beautiful Ones is really soft, and then it goes really powerful, and it's got the big line, do you want him or do you want me? Because I want you. Is the big line, and his voice is great. His guitar playing is sensational. He's just the ultimate showman. Computer Blue is fabulous, co-written by his dad. His dad was a great musician, and his dad features on a number of albums in terms of Prince has taken some of his dad's music. As well as written by Dr. Fink, Lisa and Wendy from The Revolution, which is a great band. Also Darling Nikki, which is the sex song. And again, Prince, if you like, he's almost got the Bible in one hand and his manhood in the other, you know. And this sort of exemplifies it with Darling Nikki, which obviously is sort of song about sex or whatever. You work it out yourself. When Doves Cry was brilliant. It was the #1 in America, big hit in the UK. Has no bass on it. He took the bass out of the mix, and it was just a huge worldwide hit. And it's a great pop song. My kids love that song. His guitar playing on Guitar Gently Weeps is amazing, actually. I Would Die For You is sensational. It really is. And then that and Baby I'm a Star and Purple Rain were all recorded live in a club in Minneapolis. But then they took out they remixed it a little bit and overdubbed on top of it. And obviously, Purple Rain is an absolute classic. It transcends many sort of genres. It's just fantastic. He's singing, amazing. Music, amazing. As a dancer, he was up there with James Brown. I mean, that's unfortunate. What probably killed him, because he got addicted to painkillers because of the amount of times he used to be able to do the splits in those ridiculous high heels, you know. And he ended up getting hip operations, and it caused him massive problems. So, yeah, really sad, really sad. I said I'd review very quickly. Instead of a book, I went with a film, which I have to say is awful. You know, he plays a character called The Kid. I hadn't watched it in about 40 years, and I watched it last year when we 2 girls, and they just went, "Dad, that's terrible." The songs are great, and it's about, you know, a lad called The Kid trying to make it. He comes from a violent childhood where his dad beats his mom. He's going up with Apollonia. I forgot her name in the film now. And at some point he slaps her, you know, and my kids just went, you know, they were absolutely shocked, quite rightly so. And then, and it's just like rubbish. And then all of a sudden he does, like, you know, at the end, he writes Purple Rain and the girl runs back to him. You're thinking, how way, man? That's almost like condoning violence against women. It's clearly not, but, you know, and he's trying to put some sort of moral into it, but it's a terrible story. Absolutely stinks to high heaven as a film. But, you know, the songs help out. There's a great song in it that it wasn't on the album, which he wrote, and it's come out subsequently, called Sex Shooter. You know, and it's brilliant. It's so poppy. It's absolutely class. And it's just one of them songs he was just able to casually give away, and it appears in the film. You know, the guy was a genius. Absolute genius. He really was. He had a patch of about 10 years where he was just untouchable. He was the best around for about 10 years. So, yeah. Bless him.
Definitely. I've seen him twice, Sid, as well. It was 1990. I think it was Diamonds and Pearls tour. But yeah, it opened up. Let's go crazy. It was the old Celtic Park. Then I seen Meadowbank Stadium in Edinburgh. Absolutely phenomenal. And what was that single? Was it Sex Shooter?
Sex Shooter.
I wonder.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if that's a B-side to this.
I know Sid hasn't brought us a book about Prince, but this is a book he won't be reviewing today. I just love the artwork on that. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Great stuff.
Excellent.
Anything going on with the band? Still rehearsing, Rob?
Well, we've had a 2-week break. We're back next week because Paul, a bass player, he's on holiday just now, so he's sunning it up. But I'm doing some homework in the house just now, so it's fine. Yeah, it's all good, and I'll be watching the game tomorrow. Fingers
crossed. We've got a couple of questions here. One from they're both from Alan Little. First of all, I'll give this one to you, Sid. He says, "Any Jam albums left to review, Sid?"
Yeah, I don't think I've done. Have I done sound effects? I can't remember. Any of them really? Sound effects, yeah. Sound effects, All Mod Cons, Setting Suns, any of those 3 great albums.
Have you listened to The Gift, Rob? The Jam, The Gift.
Yeah, I reviewed it before a couple of years ago. Remember?
I can't remember whether you did or not. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your suggestions in the comments below. Which albums would you like Rob to review?
I'll do the Jam next week. I'm more than happy to do the Jam. Yeah, absolutely love them. One of my favourite ever bands.
And the question from Alan as well: did the lads ever see Big Country back in the day? It was always like a football match. Stuart Adamson is sadly missed, he says.
Yeah, I saw them a couple of times. They were great live, absolutely fantastic live.
Yeah, so, 83. Yeah. I was at the one that was filmed at the Barrowlands, and they bought the bagpipers on during the bells. I was at there with a guy. Funnily enough, his name is Big Willie. From you see him in the back. I wonder if he was any relation. But yeah, I was that. I seen him at the Playhouse on the Sear tour as well. Excellent, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Rob, as always, mate, absolute pleasure to have you on. Look forward to what you bring us next week. Have a good week. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you later.
And only got about 7 or 8 minutes left on the show. Yep. A couple of comments which I kept. Ali says, I agree with Eddie Howe on the fact that booing during a match is counterproductive. You'll affect the confidence of the players on and off the pitch. That is in response to the.
I don't agree with booing. I think that's wrong.
Tonali got taken off. There was a handful of people. It wasn't the entire way. Yeah. A handful of people who loved Tonali weren't happy that he got taken off, and the shot got shouted down. Troll says, put Big Joe at left wing, Tonali left centre midfield, Miley right centre midfield.
Well, Miley's the other option. Miley could play, and I think he's got the potential. I forgot all about Miley, if I'm being brutally honest.
He'll play tomorrow night.
He could play as the holding midfielder. He's got it in him to be that player because he's got a lovely touch. When we're talking about controlled football, he's got a lovely touch. He can kill it instantly. He's got a great pass on him. He's got vision. What he doesn't have is pace. And that's the one thing he needs to sort of work on. But apart from that, he's got everything to be a great holding midfielder, in my opinion. Although I think Howe sees him being further up. I don't. I see him as being a holding midfielder. But, what do I know?
Jason says, All Mod Cons is my favourite ever. The Jam are the greatest band ever. I've devoted my scooter to the Jam. Excellent, Jason. Great stuff. Send some photos in. We'll have a look at that. Maybe feature it on the show next week. Join our Facebook group or like the Facebook page. You can stick them on there. Cristobal says, think the PSR not being backed excuses wearing thin with how he's not getting the best out of what he does and hasn't done for a year. Let's be honest. And Alan just loves this show. Football and music, man. Great stuff, he says. Thank you very much. Ali, G says, we don't have to sell. We've got 3 years before the £105 million loss deadline takes effect.
It's a rolling thing, isn't it? It's every year and it's balanced off against everyone. It's not every 3 years.
We could spend 100 million. We could spend 100 million each time in the next 3 windows, depending on our strategy. Final comment: Ali B says Tonali's impacted by not having a good right winger, which again is, it's a valid
point. Yeah, it is.
It is a valid point. Okay, 5 minutes to go. Let's just concentrate on the match in 24 and a bit hours time against Chelsea again. And this is in the Carabao Cup for a place in the last 8. And deja vu here, because we did go out to Chelsea last season. We had one foot in the semi-finals, and unfortunately, a rare Kieran Trippier error led to extra time.
We'd have won last year, you know. We'd have won last year if that happened. We'd have beaten Liverpool in the final.
True. It led to a penalty shootout. Newcastle, unfortunately, lost the penalty shootout, and that was that. It's a 7:45 start tomorrow night. It is live on Sky Sports. Don't forget that a result must be achieved on the night. If the score is tied after 90 minutes, a penalty shootout like last year will ensue. A stake is at place in the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals take place week commencing the 16th of December, and the draw for the quarterfinals will be staged following the Spurs-Man City game on Wednesday night. Chelsea were given 4,883 places, 1,600 more than set aside for Premier League fixtures. And at this moment in time, it looks like they've sold them all. The new Newcastle United club shop underneath the Gallagher end will reopen tomorrow now, 4 o'clock. Mags Plus members can gain entry between 2 and 4. And Eddie Howe's press conference today, he played down the groin strain that Anthony Gordon had suffered in training on Saturday and said there was a chance that he could play. Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman, Jamal Lascelles and Callum Wilson are all out. Matt Targett, still no journalist asking the question about what's happening with Matt Targett, and therefore Eddie hasn't answered the question. No news on Martin Dubravka either. Joe Linton and Dan Burn still one booking away from an automatic one-match ban, but don't forget any yellows received in this tie won't result in a suspension for Saturday. The only change to that would be if they were red-carded tomorrow night. As for referees, it is Chris Kavanagh. He is taking charge of his second Newcastle game this season. He was in charge of the 2-1 Premier League success at Wolves. And VAR is not applicable in this game, which I always find a bit bizarre because both are Premiership teams, both are used to VAR.
Weird.
Why not use it? But yeah, it is. If you are local and are relying on the Metro, don't forget there are some problems tomorrow night. Gated Stadium, to and from South Shields and South Hilton for the next 5 days.
Metro's are a disgrace.
It's out of order. It means that this track work in the Pilo area means that the last trains on the section will run on Sunday, October the 27th. And obviously it's shut for Wednesday. So there we go. So it's, you find alternative routes to the match if you can. Okay, mate, we've already talked about what we might do with the team. How do you see this one going, Sid?
Right, 2 things. My heart says we'll win 2-1, and it depends on which team they turn out.
You haven't heard that one before, by the way, Sid, have you?
Well, the one I used to get the most was the bloke out of what's the dinosaur film called?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, what's his name again?
Oh yes, I know who you mean. Yeah, the Fly, Jeff Goldblum.
I used to get bloody Jeff Goldblum as well.
Well, Mark, start using your phone and start cutting and pasting and sending it in by Friday.
So yeah, I've had some. When I had long curly hair, I used to get Prince. So did I meet you when I had long curly hair?
I think so. Yeah.
The whole naturally curly hair, I had no perm going on. So yeah, I've had some shockers. Badil being another one. Who was the other one? Ben Elton, weirdly. That was another one.
Elton, yeah, there's a bit of Ben Elton there as well. That's the writing side.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was the one. I got Jeff Goldblum the other week, but that's another story. But anyway,
It's completely sidetracked there.
My head says 2-1. My heart says we'll get beat. Sorry, my heart says 2-1, but my head says we'll get beat. I'm going to go with 2-1, though. I think we'll just nick it. So just can I make my point? What I was going to mention that I've mentioned.
Yes. No, we're talking about this off. We're talking about this off.
Yeah.
Speaking, you say, no, I was going to say this. Yeah, because
I'll be very brief.
We had Keith Patterson on the Amigos, didn't we? And you wanted to make a point about what you were saying.
Yeah, because Keith was talking about like individuals taking up the idea of taking, the whole competition thing, as it were, and stepping forward. Well, the obvious route is the trusts. What's the point of having a trust if they're not there or able to step forward and take up the fans' viewpoints? And I'm sure I know there's 2 trusts out there, as far as I'm aware. I'm sure they'll have accountants who actually signed up to them, or they'll have whatever, various other professionals that can do that. And rather than going under an individual, why can't they go under a banner of a trust? or otherwise, what's the point? Is my personal viewpoint. I'm sure I might get shot down for that, but that's my view. Is why can't they just step up and do it as a group? There's enough there. There's enough of them out there. So why not? I personally think that's a valid point. There's two good trusts out there. People have different opinions about them, but that's I'm sure they could certainly step up to the plate if needs be. So I'm just putting that out there. It's out there. So
put it out there. Maybe the lads will jump on that on Friday night on the Amigos. Alan says it's a good idea, Sid. So there you go. Great show, as always. Never enough time. 1 o'clock again tomorrow, obviously, because we'll all be heading towards the match. You'll be getting ready for the match at home. So 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I'll be live with Joe Allen. Thursday, 6 o'clock with Gibbo, and 5 o'clock on Friday, the Amigos. Saturday to be confirmed. Sunday will be the professionals. So back to being a normal week this week. But Sid and Rob, thanks very much for coming on. See you soon, lads.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.